Welcome to Season 2. We're starting with Adam Gallant, a musician, recording engineer, and producer in Charlottetown. We've worked together a number of times over the years, most recently on the new podcast theme song that's in the background right now. And I was so glad to chat with him about the craft of art and his methods in the studio.
You don't know what to do, and you don't know what to say. Forget all that. Start anyway. Spark that fire and build it high, and watch it burn, then let it die.
Adam Gallant, thank you for coming all the way out here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for creating this podcast.
Well, you're welcome. And thank you for helping me with the podcast theme song, which in the final version of this episode, people will have already heard by now.
Sweet. Yo, oh my gosh. Thanks for asking me to be a part of it. A real pleasure and an honor.
I think that we first met shortly after I moved back to Charlottetown in the early 2000s. You were running all over town recording bands for the first Well-Oiled compilation. And that came out 20 years ago, right?
Oh my God. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not looking back at that, but yes. Wow. 20 years this year, you just said. Is that right?
Yeah, I looked it
Cool.
up. Well, that's what it says online anyway.
Thanks. Wow. 20 years? Wow.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Thanks. Yeah.
That was a great, I remember when you were doing that. We're all like, this is so awesome.
Cool. Definitely. That was an idea I lifted from a compilation album that occurred years prior called Eat This and Eat This Too. So whoever made that, thank you.
Also great compilations.
Yes.
Yeah. You probably don't remember, but I remember asking you why you were doing this.
Oh my God.
And you were like, basically like, to get more work.
That is true.
To get established so that all these people will come back to me. And I'm like, well, of course, duh, Andrea. Like, I'm wondering, was it your plan then, 20 years ago, to be where you are now?
Ooh, whoa. I don't know if I had a plan 20 years ago, but I definitely was like, wanted to be recording music. And I was like, I needed to market myself. And I was like, the compilation is the obvious way to make that happen. And thankfully, it was success. A huge thanks to the people I was living with when we recorded this and their like tolerance for my BS. But the
Slash work ethic.
oh yeah, yeah. 20 years ago, what did I think my future would look like? I think at that time I was still dreaming of leaving PEI. Despite trying to create a network there and work there, my goal was like, okay, we're going to get something happening on PEI, and then I'm going to pick up and we're going to get out of here and actually go where things happen. And so did the 20-year ago Adam Well-Oiled achieve his goals? No, he failed dramatically. Thankfully.
Well, thankfully, there's lots of pivots on our roads throughout our lives. So, I mean, I'm glad that you didn't leave.
Me too. And it's been wildly fun and fulfilling. And I do occasionally think about like, am I going to do another one of these kind of compilation-y things again or not? And they're always stewing in the back of my mind. But they're a lot of work. And I don't know why. I guess I'm maybe lazier now than I was when I was 18. I'm 42
it's okay to
for the
slow
record.
down.
Yeah.
After a little while. Do you ever go back and listen to those early recordings that you engineered?
Very rarely do I go back and listen. But when I do, and I would say it's like once every 4 or 5 years, I will listen to one or two things that I did. I'm always surprised I'm like, oh, this isn't horrible. And it's always like, then I'm humbled being like, why am I not better at this today? I could, so it's like, so maybe that's part of why I don't do it that much is because it's like scary or something. I was like, oh, wow, I got nowhere.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. You seem to do, until you built your studio, you were doing a lot of just going to where the bands were, whatever building they had, whatever space was available. And you seem to really love it. I mean, there was probably not a whole lot of options at that point before you had your own studio. But what did you learn from going to so many different rooms and recording in so many different ways?
Oh, yeah. Cool question. What did I learn from going to all these spaces? Like how much you can achieve with little would be one of the biggest things, maybe looking back, that I can say in honesty. Yeah, so I would have like this little mobile thing, and I would go to people's rehearsal spaces and set up and try to essentially record their version of their band that they heard in their rehearsal space and try to represent to them most accurately what it was they were doing.
Mm.
And what did I learn? Like, I'm thinking now about like the Haunted Hearts records that we made in that context.
Mhm.
Those are some of my favorite ones that I did on location.
Mhm.
Yeah, I kind of learned maybe stuff to avoid and the power of overdubs and lack of bleed between microphones. Like maybe that's beyond maybe the scope of this talk, but like, yeah, there is a benefit to sound coming into multiple microphones, and there is a detriment. And you gotta, I've kind of been navigating that line a lot in my life of like, what do you want to capture in the moment, and what do you want to build over time, and how does that affect the outcome? And it's like kind of always been an experiment of that. And I think I've gone wildly in both directions. And I'm kind of coming back full circle to this kind of chaotic live thing. And I've been doing it at the studio where it's kind of like throw up a bunch of mics or a few mics and let them kind of cross bleed and deal with the problems in a kind of fun and creative way.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, it was like, this is a problem. And the whole thing is corrupted because there's cymbals crashing through everything. And now it's like, bring on the cymbals and let's see what kind of comes down the pipes and how it can be managed. And these things are fun for me now. Whereas when I was in my 20s, it was a problem.
Yeah, because it seems like, I don't know if almost always, but a lot of the time, when you get a full band playing live, all at the same time, there's an energy there that is, I don't know, maybe even impossible to capture if one person is playing it, at a time. How do you make the choice if somebody's like, we can play it all live, and you're like, for this, I think it might be better if we do it separately?
Yeah, how do you make that choice? It often comes down to resources. So if someone has the resources, I would say, let's do both and see which we like better. That is very rarely the case. And it becomes about resources. So the choice is already made going into it often, where they're saying, hey, I have this much resource allocate, so we need to do it fast. And if that's the case, then we're going to do it live. But it's like, I don't know, it should be an aesthetic choice, but it's often, at least maybe mistakenly, a resource choice for me. But I do think, though, I've curved that a bit. Say someone does want to do something that's very overdubby, meaning we're going to go piece by piece, layer by layer, and it's going to be kind of calculated. I'll try to bring out some of the liveness by playing, not using the headphones much, and playing all the music through the speakers in the room kind of louder than I normally would, so that there's this kind of vibrational low end things. The bass kind of goes up through your bones and into your head as opposed to right into your eardrum. And that can be helpful to make people kind of perform more or sing louder and simulate like a band overdubby thing. Maybe the opposite is not possible, though, or it can be, where you set up, at least I'm working in one room where there's no isolation between instruments, but I can put up a lot of baffles and create a really tight focused sound that emulates the overdub thing in a live context. So there's lines between those things. The more I do it, the more I'm like technically capable of blurring that line. And it's a very fun thing to play with and experiment with, because it has a huge effect on people's performances and how loud they project and sing, which is kind of a big part of the music making process, is like get the voice to do its thing. So it's a super fun experiment. And in an ideal world, every project we would do both and compare. We do like, we're going to do this album in 3 or 4 different contexts, and we're going to compare, and we're going to pick the one we like the most, or the ones we like, the songs we like the most.
What do you love about recording and mixing music? What's your favorite thing about it?
My favorite thing about recording and making music is like hanging out with people and like the time between the work. Maybe that's horrible, but like, yeah, I like chatting, I like talking, I like lunch, I like coffee, I like joking around. Those are my favorite parts about it. Maybe that's a horrible thing to say. Sorry, everybody.
No, I think it's come up a few times here where people have said, my favorite thing about music is just playing music with a couple of my friends in a room. Like, that's the best feeling ever. Like, it's not, winning awards and going on tours or anything like that. It's like it's the earthy stuff. So
The
that makes
hang.
sense. It's the hang. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the community. It's the connection.
100%. Yeah, that resonates with me for sure. And then if I had to talk about like kind of the craft of art of music making, it would be like sometimes I'm surprised by what my hands do, and if that happens, I'm like, whoa, this surprise thing that happens, like that's very rewarding when I surprise myself and I like the results.
Right.
That happens a lot when I'm alone working on something, but when someone else is in the room, I have full like belief that they are going to surprise me and hopefully themselves, and that we are going to like the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So those are maybe my
Ideally.
favorite things. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? What's your favorite thing about making stuff?
I just think it's brilliant that people can put words together and like make something new. It's that like it's so magical to me that I could just sit to like when I was writing the new podcast theme song a couple of months ago, like it actually came out really quickly, and it had been a long time since something like a song had come like that.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow, so that feeling is great. But then it's playing music with people. It's the hang.
Right.
Basically.
Sweet.
It's getting like-minded people together, and also, there's nothing better than that moment when you're in a band and you've been working on stuff and you've been practicing and you just hit it, like you get it. You get to that next level or something. Like you just you're just killing it. It's perfectly melded. Everyone's playing exactly what they should. The energy is there. That moment is something that is hard to capture anywhere else.
I agree, and I think I can count on my hands the number of times I've been like, "Oh my God, we're in heaven, and this is insane."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which says something. Maybe it says I have a very poor memory, but it could also say that it's rare.
Yeah, I think it is rare. Has it ever happened in the studio where you weren't playing music, you were like engineering something, and did you ever witness that in the studio?
It's a different thing when I'm an somewhat of an audience, or I'm producing or engineering, and I'm a listener to someone else's thing than when I'm playing the thing. Because when I'm I've definitely been brought to tears listening to stuff and being like, wow, that was it, and it's magical, it's amazing, it's heavenly. But when I'm on the guitar or drum playing side of it, and I get this feeling like, whoa, we've transcended.
Mm-hmm.
That is more potent to my body than the producer engineer listening thing that happens regardless of whatever, maybe the tears or the wild amount of motion, the potency of the hit or whatever.
Yeah, because you're in it. You're part of it.
Yeah, I'm like rowing the canoe down the river, like a bit of a driver. Whereas sometimes in the producer engineer hat, it's like a bit more of a. I like to do a little less driving, at least in my production style.
Yeah, you're kind of like moving where the water goes instead of the canoe as a producer, maybe.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm drowning in the river.
I remember the first time that I recorded something, like my own song, my own voice. It was in my friend Tim's attic in Charlottetown. And listening back the first time, I was like, no, that's not. No. I didn't recognize my own voice because we don't hear ourselves, right? Like and I was like, I can't, no. I honestly, for a few seconds, I did not believe that was me.
Wow.
Even though it was my song and I had just sung it. You must have recorded a number of people that was their first time ever recording something. Or have you? Did you ever get a reaction like that?
That's a cool thought. I never got a reaction where they expressed this thing to me where they didn't recognize themselves, but I definitely work with people who it's their first time, and I love working with people who don't have a lot of experience because of this kind of novelty and love of it that is like kind of addictive, and the newness and the youngness, and being like, I wish I had some of this. Please give me some of your lack of context, because it's powerful. Working with someone right now, it's their first time ever recording. It's a gentleman in his 50s. He's been writing his whole life. He's got a huge catalog of stuff, and it is very enjoyable process. But yeah, on playback, the feeling I get from him is that it's very difficult for him to hear his voice because doesn't have a lot of confidence around it. But we're developing that confidence, and that's a very rewarding process because he's great and I love it. And I think a lot of people have hangups about the way their voice is supposed to sound, but it's like, you know what? It can be anything. Like, have you heard Bob Dylan? It can be anything.
Yeah. I read Nico Case's memoir recently, and she talked about how she couldn't really figure out where her voice fit in kind of the music scene when she was starting play her own stuff. And of course, I don't know if you're a Nico Case fan, but I mean, her voice to me is like incredible. Like, and seeing her live, it's like her voice fills up an entire room. It's amazing how somebody can start out by going like, oh, I don't know about that. And it's this like siren call of a voice that like, anyway.
It is amazing. I think a lot of people have a misperception about their own capacity, me included, that is often not as positive as it could be. And I think that one of the things I can offer people is like the feeling that, hey, maybe this is better than you thought it was, or maybe what you think this isn't what it actually is. Those kinds of weird questions. But Nico Case, yes, I am a fan, and my God, yeah, her voice is ringing in my head right now, and my imagination and the production of those albums just astounding.
Yeah, agreed. I feel like a lot of your job is managing people.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of emotions that go into like recording something, and you have to do a lot of guiding of people and reassuring and or prompting them to do something in a different way. Does that come naturally to you, or has it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I think how I enact myself in the studio is to listen as best I can to what people are trying to tell me and say to me. And I'm trying to really listen to what they say. So often the conversations that I'll have with people, they're speaking to me, and then I reiterate back to them what I think they are trying to get me to understand. That's really poorly communicated. Because I think by nature I'm a bad communicator. So I have to do this thing where I listen intently, and I try to convey what I believe that they said to me back to them. And then we try to go down the path together, because ultimately I'm working on their thing, and it's a service to them, is how I see it. And I think that there are an infinite number of ways you can do this job. And that's just how it has been going for me lately.
Yeah. Question I like to ask most artists is, how do you know when it's done? And when I think of that question and the role of the recording engineer and producer, I think that might be a more loaded question, because it seems to me that there's always more you can do with the writing of a song, but there's so much you can do with a track when you have a bunch of different instruments and voices. And also acknowledging that sometimes you're working for a client that it's their job to tell you when it's done.
That's
right,
yeah.
But when you don't have that direction, when do you know when a track is done?
So I have this kind of like, when I'm working on something, there's a list that gets generated by my brain of things that bother me about it. And when that list is resolved, and the next day or the next time I bring it up and I listen to it, if I create a new list, then it is not done.
Right.
But if I hear it and no ideas or this list geysers to the surface, then I generally know it's done. Or if I still have the ideas, I enact them, and the change that occurred between what it was and what it is now is very marginal to its effect on me, then I know what I'm doing is not a big deal and not important enough. So it's time to move on to the next thing. It's like if what I'm doing is like, you know, a 5% difference, and I can't tell if I like one more than the other, then I know I'm just pleasuring myself through the act of craft and need to move on to the next thing, which I'm often saddened by because I love overworking stuff.
Yeah, well, you must have, and this process probably must have come, like, you must have been kind of building this over the years, do you think? Or do you think you came up with that list process early on?
No, I think the list process, I'm stealing this idea from a guy, music maker, Andrew Sheps. I'm like parroting his process there, and I've copied it directly. I learned that in 2017. So up to that point, I had kind of been floundering and being like, looking to the client, being like, are we done yet? Right. And hoping, and often in my condition, the artist, at least to me, the sense I was getting is that the artist often wanted to complete the project before I did. And maybe that has to do with experience or standards. I don't know, but essentially, up until this like kind of 2016, 2017 period of the subconscious, or maybe it's a real written down list, or it's the conscious list, sorry, or the written down list. I had kind of been floundering about when things were done and not done, and it was easy to finish stuff, let's say, but maybe knowing truly whether or not it was its best before we closed the book on the work was more vague than it is today.
Yeah. Were you playing instruments as a young kid?
There was a piano in our house when I was growing up, but I wasn't very interested in it. And then at 14, I got an electric guitar. Or like there was a party at our house. My sister had a party, and somebody brought an electric guitar. And maybe I was 13 or 14, and that was like Wonderwall was happening, and it just took over. Not Wonderwall took over my life. The electric guitar took over my life. I was mildly an Oasis fan, but never, singing Wonderwall at a party. But yeah, for 13 or 14, the electric guitar was kind of when things latched on, or when I latched onto things.
Yeah. And were you writing songs as a teenager?
Yeah, funny. Like on the drive out here, I'm like kind of imagining how this conversation was going, and I imagined that we would.
She's probably going to
She's
go.
going to ask this one. I better have something in the pipes. And I had this distinct memory that came up on the drive out here, and it was of me writing the first songs I would ever write. And I remember sitting in my living room with this little purple guitar, strumming and playing and singing and writing something, and in a moment feeling very high off it, being like, man, this was amazing. And then in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes, having the cringiest, most like regretful, like, what was I thinking just 3 minutes ago? This is horrible. And then, that times 1,000,000 is essentially my life. Over and over, repeated over and over and over again. And now it like, instead of happening in like 6 minutes, it happens in like 6 months.
Balance, duality. Yeah. It's all part of it.
Yes, it is.
But I'm thinking I'm getting that maybe you weren't one of those 16-year-olds that were running around trying to record everything on, or were you?
No, that's right. Things? Yeah, no, I wasn't in recording and getting into it until high school, and I was playing in a band in high school, and like the bass player in that band, guy Jonathan Stubbs, he was kind of handling a lot of the technical side of us recording stuff, and we were recording onto cassette. And that's where I became interested in recording, and then it kind of took off from there. I did become quite addicted to recording in high school. Or maybe I was 17, 16, and I remember all of the projects in like English class that were like poetry or anything. I would always try to submit a recording of something instead of the actual work, and they'd be like, "What are you doing? Like, this isn't the project." And I'd be like, "No, but this cassette I'm going to play for the class." It's like it's a writing assignment. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, so I was interested in recording, but yeah, I think more out of kind of necessity to make stuff as opposed to like a curiosity around specifically the recording technology and stuff. But I grew to kind of become interested in the technology, and now I'm kind of growing out of being interested in the technology and growing into more being interested in the creative side of it, at least in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah. Let's talk about producing, because you produced or co-produced quite a few records. Any idea how many?
Yeah, no idea how many. Yeah, my website's adamgallant.ca.
What do you like about producing specifically?
My favorite part about producing is the surprise again. When things happen that I am surprised by, that I like. And it happens not all the time, and it feels like fishing sometimes, where you're like kind of sitting there, and it's sure we're enacting the craft of making something, but there is this other thing where I need some kind of unexpected stuff to happen for me to feel like, oh yeah, we're onto this. So there's like this surprise element. This is maybe a really bad way of producing music, but it is ultimately my favorite part. Is when I'm surprised.
Well, I certainly remember when you were producing for me, there was sometimes that we would just be recording, and then all of a sudden you're like, that's it, and you would get really animated, like about
Okay.
a take, or we'd try something different, and you're like, that's it, and like that, you very like it was. That's what I knew.
Cool. Interesting. I feel like I got away from that for a while what started to happen to me, and I got in trouble doing this, is like I would identify, hey, that's it. Let's try it again. And it took me like a decade to realize, no, that was it. Use it and move on.
Right.
And I got kind of hung up in this thing where like, oh, that was it. Let's try to beat it. And
Right.
I've been getting away from that, and it's been very helpful to be like, that's it, and that is it, and let's move forward from there. Yeah. Anyway,
That makes
hopefully
sense.
that's helpful for someone who's trying to get into this. I don't know.
Totally.
But it's kind of magical. Like when you repeat something a million times and all of a sudden there's a very subtle change about it that gives you a very different feeling. And because there's a lot of repetition in this job, and you listen to stuff over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden you change one thing and it's like everything locks into place, and you're like, why did this one change make such a difference? It's probably like because you had the coffee at the right time, or some reason that's unexplainable, and it probably has nothing to do with the work.
Yeah, maybe. Like it's the kind of thing like I decided out of the blue a few months ago to paint the cupboards, in my kitchen. And now all of a sudden my ideas for everything else in the room is different. Like, oh, now this kind of flooring will work if I want to do that, And so it's that kind of thing where it's like one thing is like now it's set, and you're like, that change. It's like a cascade kind of a thing.
Yes, I love that. I think everything is kind of like that. I love the analogy people say, like, or that's not an analogy, it's like a philosophy or something. I don't even know what it is, but the butterfly flaps its wings and causes a whatever.
Yeah, monsoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of idea. Like, I truly believe that's the way the world operates, and that everything is kind of very interconnected, and that chaos can kind of ignite and shoot itself around in various ways in all contexts.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. I know you've played in different bands, but I was looking up Raccoon Bandit online to see who got producing credit on your records.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the albums on Bandcamp don't note any producer
That's
at all,
right, yeah.
but Into the Hills, right? That's
Yeah,
the one?
yeah.
I love that album. Anyway,
Thanks.
that just says that it was produced by Raccoon Bandit, so I'm assuming that it was a group effort.
Yeah.
What's it like producing your own stuff versus other people's work?
It's been a long time, I feel like, since I was like a member of a band that was producing. What's it like? I remember it being really kind of creatively liberating, but it was also hard for me to identify standards and know when things were done, especially with that project.
right.
And it seemed like it took like a long time. That's a record I did come back, and listen to a while ago. And I remember listening to it and being like, whoa, this record's kind of cool. Yeah.
It is.
It's got some like creativity in and around it. And it wasn't so much like a product. It was more like, felt like art kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, for some reason I'm thinking of, I can't remember which of my albums it was that you produced for me, but it was like a hi-8 camcorder in the room or something, and you were like, let's run this through this camcorder. Do you remember this?
No, what?
Maybe it was the first record.
Crazy.
But you like wanted to run through it like a hi-8 tape or something. Like it didn't work. But we
When were
spent like an
trying?
hour
Oh my God.
trying to run the sound through this thing. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird, but this is cool, whatever.
I'm interested to hear about that, because I don't remember that. And it seems like I'm still doing this kind of format change thing. Like that is a part of my process where I take digital stuff, I run it out of the computer into this kind of weird tape
Something
thing.
analog.
Yeah, and then it comes back in, and there's like a format change that that does something that I like, and there's some kind of technical fun trickery that I apply that makes it all very enjoyable.
Can you explain that anymore? Like what are you looking for when you do this kind of thing? Like, what's the end goal?
Specifically the format change stuff, the end goal is to make it sound like it's older often, like it was something I found, like it was from 100 years ago or 40 years ago, let's say. No, it's more like 60 years ago is often what I'm trying to, the aesthetic I tend to be leaning towards. So it's like the feeling is that, like, I did the Shane Pendergast record, and Gordon Lightfoot and Neil Young were in the kind of reference category, and I just shot as hard as I could into those references, and it was the most colored I think I've made a record in a very, very long time to sound like it was from an era, and I believe that it was the most successfully I've ever done that. So that would be an example of where the format change was in line with the vision of the project, and I was maybe a good fit for that project because of that aesthetic.
How does it feel to hear a song that you engineered or produced on the radio?
Oh yeah, that's a good feeling. When I was young, it felt embarrassing and bad because everything sounded bad. Now when it happens, I'm always like, whoa, this is amazing. Especially if it happens out in the wild, which is generally when it happens. Yeah, it is very rewarding and satisfying, and it feels like it has that same surprise element that I'm looking for when I'm making music, where it's like, oh yeah, wow, it's like my attention gets sparked up and I feel a small sense of pride, which is maybe something I should work on. Yeah, how about you? Does that
Yeah, same, basically. Yeah. My stuff's not being played on the radio as much as it was 10 years ago,
Same.
but yeah, I would randomly just hear it somewhere, and it's great. I mean, it's just a nice little like pat on the back, basically.
Totally, yeah.
Can't imagine hearing it all the time everywhere though. That would be terrible.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's sometimes too though where you hear it and like the sound system is bad and you're like, uh-oh, did I cause this? But you're like, oh, maybe it's the room. But it's like often in those situations I just blame myself. I'm like, no, that was you, Adam. So sometimes it sucks.
Did you ever want to get into live audio engineering?
I think when I started, I thought I would have to for money, and then I realized it's too stressful, and
It's so stressful. I don't know how anyone does it.
Yeah, and I think it was a really good decision I made early on. I remember like techs around town during like ECMA time. I would do the occasional gig, and they would approach me. The people who were running these companies would be like, "Hey, do you want work?" kind of thing, and I would essentially be like, "No." And I'm glad that happened because I didn't get swept up in it, because I now have this perspective that working late is unhealthy. So I don't work late and I go to bed really early, and it has been absolutely a game changer on my mental health.
I know. Yep. Me too. Yep. Speaking of not going out, we chatted a little bit in your studio last week about not feeling maybe on the cutting edge of the scene and the sounds and the, whatever. Like, do you feel like you need to know what the deal is out there in the world as far as the popular music, and so that you can help people reproduce it?
No, I thankfully do not feel that way. I feel like the deal is unknowable, and the only truth is to make stuff that we like ourselves personally. So I did not operate like this all the time, and it's only in the last maybe 5 years where I've taken this approach and this reality that, like, you know what, it's impossible to know what other people are thinking. It's nearly impossible to know what I'm thinking. So the best thing I can do is make stuff that I love, that I'm proud of. It's made the job a lot harder in some ways and a lot easier in other ways, where like I just know I'm tuning up to my own taste and not some made up ghostly version of what taste is out in the atmosphere that I have no idea about, but focusing in on my taste and hoping there's some Venn diagram where me and the artist I'm working with have similar overlapping tastes, and that we're both happy and like what we made. Yeah, I don't know, like when you're writing music, do you think about what other people think about the music when you're writing it?
I used to.
Yeah.
For a while there, but I don't anymore, because it's only for me. It's just for me. Other people can listen if they want to, here and there. They don't have much chance to these days, but they can do that. No, there was a time, and I like asking people that question too. Do you make songs with a specific audience in mind, or do you think about a particular kind of show when you're writing? Like, this is going to work really well for this kind of audience, and some people do, and I don't anymore.
Yeah, I think that being able to answer that question probably works for people who do it professionally and have a kind of commodified thing happening where they there needs to be a value exchange. And I feel
Yeah.
like that I'm super fortunate in that value exchange happens between me and an artist and not me and an audience.
Mm.
Sorry to all the artists out there, but that seems like a very difficult job to do. And I've kind of opted out of it in a lot of ways by not continuing to perform music live.
Yeah.
Or like, really attach my name to stuff that's public facing. I've kind of hidden and remain hidden in a lot of ways.
Smack dab in the middle of the city.
Yeah, for better or worse.
Where do you see yourself in another 20 years?
Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't really I should really think about this. Yeah, 20 years from now, I will be 62. I hope to be,
Still recording because you can't retire.
Yes, I cannot afford to retire, so I'll still be recording. What the technology will look like in 20 years is very exciting to think about, because I assume we will not really need a lot of the stuff I have around, hopefully. Like, I don't want to have like a big computer the size of a mini fridge and like a rack of stuff. Like, I'd love to not have that stuff around me while I'm making stuff.
Yeah.
Because I find it visually like ugly.
Cluttered. Yeah.
Yeah. I want like a real clean, beautiful, kind of almost empty space looking out over nature, where maybe we like are talking to some kind of non-existent kind of AI thing that reflects ideas back to us, and we can kind of pick and choose stuff. I don't know what it would look like, but for 20 years from now, I hope to be, like spending a lot of time in nature, spending a lot of time in quiet, and yeah, maybe, working on stuff I love because I want to work on it and not having to be motivated by money. But that's a pretty huge goal, and a privilege to even suggest that that's even possible.
That's the dream.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
How about you, 20 years from now?
Actually, as you were talking, I was like, feel like a very similar thing. Like, I want to be, quiet in nature somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably in a house in the country with some animals around and a bunch of instruments. Basically doing what I am now.
Amazing.
Except not with a job, because hopefully I'll be actually retired by then.
Right, yes, yeah.
And then the dream of just making art all day, writing songs all day, going for a walk with my dog. Probably still writing songs and putting them up on the internet, if that still exists. 20 years.
That'd be sweet to envision a future where the internet did not exist, or technology kind of is like gone or something. That'd be sweet. The opposite of like this AI cloud thing I'm talking about. Have you read Rick Rubin's book?
I haven't, and I don't know why, because I've been seeing clips of him on the internet for years and going, that.
Yeah, cool.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think I did start it. I don't know. I don't think I finished it.
Okay. Do you own a copy of it?
I have a digital copy of it.
Okay, cool. I brought a copy for you if you want it. Do you want it?
Sure.
Sweet, please.
Yeah, I will probably read all of it if it's here.
Great. Yeah, digital copies are not worth doing. The only reason I ask is because this book this had a bit of an impact on me. I think it's because of when it came out and like when I read it and where I was at when I read it, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with what's in the book too. But this book helped me kind of focus myself on creativity and less on like business building, essentially. Like, I think for a long time I was running a business and thinking I was making art, and this book was a real punch in the face for what art is for me. So I've been sharing it with people because it was helpful for me.
What is art for you?
For me, art is whatever I say art is. Or yeah, I truly believe that too. And so I think I would define art by the person who makes it. If they say it's art, it's art.
Yeah.
And that's as deep as it needs to go.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of the basis of the song of mine
cool.
that we recorded.
Yeah.
It's nothing and it's everything, and it's everything and it's nothing. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, and I think for a long time I was making stuff through some lens that like through some lens of judgment of others that I was completely fabricating in my mind. And this book has helped me kind of shatter that and start to see things through my own eyes or something.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to describe in words, but it would help me.
Everybody needs that. You just got another Music PEI nomination, I think. How many is that now?
I don't know, but I started my career when Music PEI started, so there's a lot.
What do awards mean to you, or nominations?
Awards are a portal into funding systems. For me, they are a way that
Resume
our peers.
builder?
Yeah, exactly. A resume builder. Yeah, like they're a way our peers can help shine light on each other, to hold each other up, to become eligible for potential funding. Let's say that I think and it's a very important thing in some ways. But I was thinking on the way out here, like about like awards things and music industry associations, and like, wouldn't it be cool if it was like, instead of an award for the best, like they use that language, which is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If it was like you just got put in like a bingo draw and it was like a lottery. And wouldn't that be fun? I think everyone would be a little more invested if it was like literally a lottery, and like, and it wasn't the best song, it was like the lottery won song. Because like that's wouldn't that be fun too? Like
Sure.
Everybody put your name in the hat. I think they'd have more people applying too, because it's not like the best music video. It's like, you're gonna randomly win this. We're not all gonna vote that it's the best because it's art. And there's something around like competition there, and this book talks about it too, where it's like, it's healthy to frame competition in a way where we're like trying to be inspired by one another and not be better than one another, and to rise up to the work of others instead of be above it or something. There's like some subtlety around the language that I've had to kind of re-internalize to help myself look at the real positive effects of these systems that exist for awarding artists.
Yeah. Thank you again for coming out. This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always an absolute delight to talk about this kind of stuff. I love it.
We'll have you back on future seasons, I'm sure.
Sweet. Thank you.
It's nothing and everything. It's a gentle sigh and a scream into the void. It can leave you. It can be you if you let it. You don't know what to do and you don't know what to say. Forget all that. Start anyway. Spark that fire and build it high and watch it burn. Then let it die. It can make you cry. It can dry your eyes. It can be the one that keeps you warm inside, and it breaks your heart, then tells you where to start if you let it. You don't know what to do, and you don't know what to say. Forget all that. Start anyway. Spark that fire, then build it high. Watch it burn, and let it die. It can make you stand up, make you fly. It's a lifetime. In the blink of an eye, it's obsession and objection to the status quo. You got a lot to do, and you got a lot to say. Just write it out, get it on the page. Find your crew, get mobilized, and maybe soon you'll realize that it's nothing and everything. It's a gentle sigh and a scream into the void. It can leave you, it can be you if you let it.